Okay, good morning. I think we can start. We're all here. Are we missing one? Oh no, here she comes. Good. So how did it go last night? I asked you to take it to the manuscript. Remember I gave you that example yesterday. I didn't say he hit his sister. So by hitting each individual word differently, we can change the meaning, the nuance of the sentence. So if you remember, I said, I didn't say he hit his sister. I didn't say. Maybe someone else said. I didn't say. It wasn't me. I didn't say. I wrote it down. I didn't say he hit his sister. She hit his sister. I didn't say he hit his sister. He insulted her. I didn't say he hit his sister. It was somebody else's sister he hit. I didn't say he hit his sister. It was his brother that he hit. So, you see, by altering the strength of the word, we can change the meaning. What that means is if you want to give emphasis to an idea, by hitting a particular word in a sentence, you can bring a lot of power to that word. They're just a whole bunch of words with the same equal strength. So where you've got a key idea, a key thought that you want to sell, when you hit that word hard, that will bring the power of that word right up. So be careful of getting trapped into the same strength of speaking voice all the time. And that's what we're going to practice a lot this morning, is to try and build our range. And I'll come back to that in a minute. But also, some other homework was to pick up something work-related that you believe very strongly in, something you want to recommend to the company. You want them to take on a project or take a decision or fund something. And you're going to give 3 alternatives, A, B, C. One of them is your preferred alternative, but they're all viable, but you're giving people a range of choice. So it makes it easier for them to agree with your solution. And the other thing was to look at the resources section on the visuals. It's pretty self-explanatory, but did anyone see anything in that visuals resource section which was a bit unclear? What does this mean? What, why this or whatever? If there wasn't any questions, I'll take it. It was all fairly straightforward. Yeah, Bruce, you had something?
So I was looking at the handout section because that's actually one of my main.
You're in resources. What page are we on?
Well, it's sort of spread out, but the major one's page 19.
This is R19, is it?
R19, correct.
Yep.
Do you say about that? So, not necessarily with the content, but what's kind of not here, in that I have seen that, where I give someone a handout and I've lost all eye contact with the rest of the presentation. I've seen other points where you give out a piece of paper and it has too little information on it, so they spend their entire time scribbling on it. And other times where I hand out too much information, and again, that's a lot of lack of eye contact, and they're no longer listening. Now, in the Japanese audience, that's kind of fine, because actually the meeting contents have been decided on before we actually have a lot of meetings. But again, with most of my meetings are talking to the directors, and so I'm just trying to figure out, what is that middle ground? I mean, should your handout be based on your presentation? Should it be the same slide, or should it be the slide with some additional information? Is there a perfect combination of what considerations need to be in that?
Do most people here give out PowerPoint deck when they give a presentation? Do most people do that?
You say PowerPoint deck?
Well, the slides. You get a copy of it. You go to give a presentation, you hand up the slide copy at the beginning. Would most people do that? Depends, doesn't it? Personally, unless it's something very technical, I will never give people anything to look at until afterwards. Now, if it's a typical thing, spreadsheet on screen, like you get this, like Susie Rossani must have seen this 1 million times in the finance business. They put the spreadsheet up on the screen, it's all numbers, they're microscopic, you can't read them. You can't read them from this distance. That's much better as a handout. So you're referring to numbers. You look at, the third quarter next year, this is the number. That makes sense. But it's one spreadsheet. But if you are giving them all the deck, what you'll find is you're on presentation page 2 and they're on page 26. All right? Go on ahead. It's not a bad thing to give it out at the end. Then they have something to go back and refer to. But you're right. They will disappear on you if you don't actually have it locked down. Yeah. Unless you have to, I wouldn't give it out until afterwards. They can refer to it.
And just the deck, it's not really reference or extra information, that just depends on the topic?
It will really depend on the audience and the topic and what you're trying to do. You know, how much information you need to give them, what's relevant. You know, having resources at the ready is good, and then if they need them, they can get them. I can't predict what your situation will be, so it's hard to give advice in that case. But all I would say is, unless it's something that is microscopic and you have to actually read, then I wouldn't give it out. I'd hang on to it and give it later. Any other questions from in that section on visuals? Is that... Yeah, okay, go on.
Like your advice.
Sorry?
I would like to have your advice.
Yes.
That is keep listener focused. I've been to the directors meeting to give the presentation. There's about 15 directors in the room, and half of them are doing something on their iPad. So they're minding their own business. So they think I'm doing my own business, but I have my ears. Usually you can't do it. We're not multitasking.
So here's our situation. We're in the meeting. People got out their iPhone or their iPad, and they're doing something, and they're not listening to you. Now, it's very interesting. Dale Carnegie, when iPhones, that sort of technology became more popular, and it first started being brought into the classroom, the instructors got very upset because they're not used to it, going back a few years. And so they say, Okasan, please stop looking at your iPhone and listen to me. But what Okasan was doing was tweeting, this is the most fantastic training I've ever received in my life. This Dale Carnegie stuff's fantastic. So I think we've gotten to a stage in business where you're going to have to accept that people will have the technology with them. The critical part there is we have to remain interesting and relevant. And questioning skills. And I said yesterday, I asked you, what month were you born? You said June. The moment I asked you that, I had you back in the room. So that's where you might call on someone who's not paying attention, you think, and ask them a question. Or even a rhetorical question. They don't know if they're going to answer it or not. They suddenly wake up, oh, I might have to answer that. So if it's relevant, you've got their interest. If you need to bring them back in the room, ask a question, or ask that particular person a question, and then they'll get their attention. Not easy though, and we find it all the time now with people who've got iPads, who've got phones. It's just a fact of life. We just have to move on. Makes our job as presenters, as speakers, more difficult than the past, but that's the new reality. That's where we are. So, what was the question again about the glare of the light from?
So usually you're sitting
from a projector, you mean?
Yeah. So when you're sitting right in the middle, especially in my height, projector usually hits me here, and so I end up going like this for the rest. I have to talk while the presentation is still on.
Why are you standing in front of the projector anyway?
Because it's fixed to the wall, and that's the power position in the center of the area. So I usually end up going to the right or the left.
I never stand in front of the projector. Never. Always, because what you have to be careful there is we don't have this problem because it's coming out of the computer, but if you've got a projector light here and you put your hand there, you're suddenly getting, a rabbit, this is a hawk or something, shadow puppets on the screen, and everyone's attention goes to your hand and not to your face. So you've got to reduce the competition with your face. So if there is a projector, then move it out of the way of the projector. For example, if it's a ceiling-based projection, I'd never stand in front of it. I'd always be off to the side and work around it. What I don't like is when they have multiple screens. They have 2 screens, and then I don't know where the hell they think you're going to stand, but I just pick one of them and stand to the left of that, and don't worry about the other one, depending on the room. Now, if you've got a huge projection behind you, really big auditorium, big screen, you can stand in the middle, and it's fine. To have the power position is fine because it's a big screen that's projected over your head, so you're not in shot. Not in shot at all. But the technology is getting such today that even with one of those projectors, they're coming straight out of the screen. There's no light beam anymore, so you can't stand wherever you like. It's really easy. Did you have another question?
I'm sorry, the last one was, there are multiple, and I've got R11, to turning the screen off. So, I mean, in a situation like ours, our offices are fairly set up, that would actually require a very similar operation where we would have to go over to where the system is to turn it off and on, and somebody would have to go to the lights.
You couldn't turn it off your laptop or off a computer? I'm just sitting.
You'd have to go to the keyboard, which is wireless, and then you would then have to go to the wall light fixtures to turn the lighting off and on depending on.
You mean these lights?
Yeah.
This room is set up so that if we wanted to, I could isolate out these lines of light. But I don't need to do it because the screen is so powerful anyway.
Yeah.
But my recommendation is never turn the lights off to your audience. If you're in any venue, you'll find that people will helpfully drop all the lights so that people can see the screen more easily. Well, you don't care about them looking at the screen because you want them looking at your face. That's your primary interest. So always have the light on you and have the light on them. Because what you don't want is a black audience where you can't see their faces. How can you make eye contact? You can't even see them. So what you want to be doing is looking at your audience, making eye contact, talking to people naturally, and have the lights up. Because most technology today is pretty good. And this is only secondary to you anyway. So don't get hung up on, oh, they can't see the screen. It doesn't actually matter. No PowerPoint would make a difference, you know. You're the main, you are the message. They said, yes, sir. So that works very well. In terms of turning off, turning on, well, if it's too difficult, leave it on. But just, you know, leave it and just keep moving. After you see the same shot, after all it's boring. People don't get looking at it. They're going to be concentrating on you again. Anything else on the visuals? All good? Right. Why do you think we have this session this morning to try and help us all stretch our comfort zones? Why do you think we do that? Why would we have that in the program? Yeah.
There's an element of risk-taking. There's an element of reaching in and realizing that you're capable of doing more than what you think.
Yeah, that's right. What else? Kate, what else?
Once you expand your range, then you decide
Expand the range, yeah.
where you want to use it after this.
Yeah, where you want
Gives
to
you choice.
come back to. You have a bigger range of choices, that's right. In our professional life, we're very locked in all the time in what we can do. So it's very hard in professional life to experiment. If you're in a serious meeting, the chances of you trying something experimental is about zero. You're not going to do it. It's too high risk. But as I said yesterday, this is a safe environment. This is like a laboratory. We can try things here and test ourselves here in a safe environment that no one else is going to see. And you've been with each other all day yesterday, so you know each other. You've seen each other getting up here and doing what you've got to do. So what we're about to do is to try and grow our range of gesture usage, energy usage, voice modulation usage, power usage. So you come out of this training knowing I can go this far if I need to because I've done it. I know what my outer range of possibility is. I may not need to use that much because in certain situations it may be very narrow or this size, it doesn't matter. After this, you're out of the box, you know, you say like Hakko ire musumi type of idea. Well, this is taking the girl out of the box completely, you know. We're going to take ourselves out of the box completely this morning. So I'm inviting you to feel safe. I'm inviting you to push yourself and really expand your range this morning. We're all good for that? We're all good? Okay, so just going to talk a little bit about leg turns. Okay, and basically we sometimes get confused with leg turns. If you can not use a leg turn, I recommend you don't use one. The leg turn's set there. Turn your computer around so you can see if you've got to press the button or the clicker and try and get around in front of it because we want to use our full body to communicate. And when you're here, you're chopped off. And sometimes, you know, for particularly, sometimes I see with ladies who are rather shorter, they've got a big leg turn, they sort of disappear behind the leg turn. So if you turn up to a venue and you've got to speak, and it is either the leg turn's there and you can't get something to stand on, don't even use the leg turn. And the classic too is, you see the grip, right? People, whatever it is, they grip the edge of the leg turn. You'll see that all the time. So it makes you lean over a little bit, makes you look a bit intimidating and not looking so professional. So leg turns, basically, try not to use them if you can avoid it. If you have to use a leg turn, then it's just really for your notes. So stand away from it. You don't have to actually hold it. You stand back. In fact, I saw a guy recently at the American Chamber. He's quite a good speaker. He was introducing the main speaker. And the guy's quite good, but he was locked into holding the leg turn the whole time. And so he was like this. He became very stiff and uncomfortable looking and made the whole audience feel the same way. So you need to be relaxed to make your audience relaxed. So leg turns are only for notes, basically. So try and avoid them if you can. Now, it's good for your notes. So you can read things like this, you know. Well, I can do it for you. Now we go through and we do all this crazy stuff. And I'm out there behind the camera screaming at you to tell you you're going crazy. And I'm out here demonstrating going crazy. What's the point of this? So, at your tables, just have a discussion. Okay, we do all this, but how can we use this freedom we've experienced to express ourselves in a business context? What can we take out of this that we can then bring it back to a business reality that we can use? Because this doesn't mean anything if we just do all this crazy stuff. You're never going to do that. You do that meeting, you're fired, right? You're gone. So that's not going to work. But what do we take from this sort of over-action, this overstretch, to bring it back to a business reality that makes sense for us professionals? So at your tables, please discuss that. So what can we take out of this exercise this morning that we can use somewhere professional? Is there anything we can take out of this?
I can use it in meeting, especially when I want the audience to make it changes.
Could use it? How would you use it? What could you do? Emphasize something? So, as I said yesterday, you know, that sentence, I didn't say his sister, you can have every different way of emphasizing a word and changing the meaning. So where we've got any technical subject or a professional subject, if you want to really drive a key message into the head of your audience, if you have equal value and equal strength to every word that you're saying, it all gets lost. But when you hit that particular word, then bang, up comes the power of that word to resonate with your audience. For example, say in the financial business, you might want to talk about the balanced nature of this investment, okay? Because it's got some things in the construction of the fund or whatever that's very balanced. So you say, well, we have a balanced fund that's very safe. Well, we have a balanced fund, and it's very safe. So you hit balanced and safe. Now you've linked those two together, and all the other words are just in the middle to construct the sentence. But that lifts the power of that message.
To not connect loud with angry.
Yes. That's why I asked Kate, I said to Kate, you were scolding everybody. So I asked Kate.
It was a scolding piece.
I know. And you were too comfortable. I noticed it was too easy for you when you were doing that. You were very much in the comfort zone. So I said to you, okay, Kate, switch into a smiling face with a very hard message. Because I wanted to stretch her, I wanted to push her, because I realised, she's cruising here. She's got this under control. This is no problem for her. Let's crank it up a bit. That's why I made the switch.
Yesterday's session as well, there's a big difference between what I think I'm doing and what I'm actually doing. Looking at this.
If you compare actually yesterday's session of gestures and today, wow, you really grew a lot in your usage. Amazing.
This much, I could use some of the more.
Yeah, this might be too crazy, right? Like, this is going to get you fired type of gesture, but this type of gesture won't get you fired. But it's a controlled gesture. You know, so that's reasonable. This is probably unreasonable. So you know, well, I'm not going to go and do that, but I'll do that. Rather than I'll do that. Yeah. Okay, you were saying you had a discussion with Gary about the usage of business. So, and I was pushing you, right? I was really pushing you to expand your range. And you did expand your range. And you expect, from your point of view, compare your previous ones, when you look at the chip, look at this one today, your range of gesture and voice, it was through the roof. But what did you see on the video? What did it look like? Did it look like you're going completely berserk, crazy, like I was when I demonstrated?
Not as much as I thought.
Exactly, yeah. Not as much as you thought. Now, can you use something more from this in your business, something that's available to you to pull out of here and apply it in a professional way?
So use that energy to talk or express or make a statement. Not necessarily this.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm yeah. I really like that point you just made. I really like that point you just made. That's a strong gesture with strong voice. It's not crazy. You're praising the person, the point they made in the meeting. Let me invite you to give me your opinions on how we could do better. See, it doesn't look crazy, but it's a bigger action. Right? How about you, Kami-san?
I can make a big voice like that. This is very difficult.
Yeah, when I was trying to get you to do that number one, right? You were doing what you thought was a big gesture, and I'm trying to let's make it bigger, right? Yeah, the voice, you had your voice range. Your voice range really opened up. So how can you use this in your role? You're in the communications area, how can you use it?
We in the areas inside.
You're dealing with all these crazy French people, right? Emotional, Latin, Frenchies, right? Hey, they're getting over, they live like this all the time, right? When you get to Paris, you use this. Yeah.
To convey anything that I'm passionate about. If I'm trying to move the organization, I can use the energy, the body language, I can use that repertoire to convey how passionate I am about a topic.
And we buy commitment. We buy people's belief in what they're telling us. We are all perfectly trained to spot fake comments. So as soon as we hear something fake, we disregard the person and we completely disregard the message. They both get killed right there. So how do we know it's true? We know it's true generally by our logic mind, oh, that sounds about right, but we also know it's true emotionally. When we see the person is really sincere, and the reason we think they're sincere is because that passion, that energy is coming out, and we feel it. Oh, he really believes this. He's really serious. This is not just a bunch of pretty words for the occasion. You know, type of tate mai for the occasion. This is serious. I can see his belief. I can see his passion. And I want to support that because I think that's right. I buy the message. Yeah? So particularly in the education field where you have to get people to come on board, you've got to make some changes, get them behind you. If you try to drive change with a very staid, flat, unemotional, logical approach, good luck with that one. It's not going to work. You've got to get people emotionally engaged to come with you. Yuksan, you did a phenomenal job out there. Phenomenal job. What can you use out of this in your work professionally?
Well, it's kind of same as the
Yeah.
when I saw the
Video?
you wasn't as much as good.
Exactly, you know, it wasn't as crazy as you thought it looked, right? Looked bigger.
Yeah, bit of essays.
Yeah.
Even like in the like a real world, like a business presentation, you will need to.
You know, sometimes you want to bring some energy to a particular point, then you might make a strong gesture. This is going to be good. You hear the voice, it's not screaming, but the energy, I'm showing you this is going to be, I believe, this is going to be good for our section. That's why I want you to come with me on this. You change the voice drop. So you took the shoes off, you got right into it, full commitment there, I love that. When I see that, I go, we're serious, this is going to be great. How can you use what you just did out here professionally?
Maybe not as big as that.
that, but you at least have the audience listen to you, engage to you, so they definitely, I mean, I felt that I was much myself, and then I felt like I was really passionate.
Yes.
And I think the audience would get that.
Yes. Yes. You already got a lot of energy naturally, when I look at your first presentation. But I think this session gave you a little bit more focus on how to use it, how to apply it. So try that. Kaz, you recovered?
Yeah, I mean,
You got over that tremendous activity there. That's great. But how are you going to use it at Apple? What can you take out of
I
this?
think by doing this, I think presentation was not for audience to not audience to listen. And presentation is look at me. I think that's the way I should take. When I do presentation before I came, I stand in front of everyone. Please listen to my presentation. But I think I should change my mindset. Look at me. Look at my presentation.
Yes.
So it's the way we show the energy that will, even if everybody is doing, I don't think they're stupid. I just want to see them.
Yeah.
So I think that's very cool.
When we are trying to have authority, when we're trying to get people to follow our suggestions, adopt our policies or buy our products or services or whatever, we have to have a certain amount of authority to command people to believe what we're saying. This exercise gives you a lot of physical energy and power internally, which you projected to the audience. So we're all sitting out here, and we're getting this massive wave of your energy. That's authority. Now, the idea is to be able to drive that energy without going crazy. And you do that through your face and your gestures and your voice in a controlled, professional way, but at a higher level of energy. Because what you'll find is in any room, everyone who's presenting will have this very low level of energy. Your colleagues or your competitors, in your case, Tajimura-san, you said you've got your competitors in the room too, right? They're all going to be energy down here. So their authority command is going to be low. When you bring out and show a little bit higher energy, a little bit more authority, a little bit more confidence, your believability comes right up to here. And they're stuck down here. And you stand out. But you don't look crazy. You don't look like you're going berserk. You just look more powerful, more believable, more credible, more authoritative. And that's what we're looking for to take out of this.